What's up, everybody? Powell 78 once again coming at you. We're gonna worry about the wedding models and the RSVP model after we make sure we could register and log in. So let's do that now. So we're gonna do this section first. I'm not worried about the wedding planner stuff right here. There's one other folder that I do want to create though, and that folder is a validation folder because we're gonna create our own validation. So let's add that folder right here, validation. You gotta spell it right. And we'll add the validation later in life. All right, we don't need it right now. We don't need this error model right here either, so that's right here. And we don't need this migration thing right here either, because we're about to make the login and registration one work. Now, how do we do that? We're going to need to set up our controller. I don't want it to be the home controller. I want it to be a user controller. So we're going to go to add. We're going to add controller. And with I'm going to do an empty one so you can see how it's done. But we could do read and write action, and we could use, this could actually write it for us. But sometimes it doesn't write it for us if we don't have all our ducks in a row. Let's see. Okay, I'm recording. So let's just add the empty one so you guys know how to do it and understand what it's trying to do. So instead of home controller, we're going to call it user controller. Okay, and then we have to add the DS. What I hate to do is sometimes, people don't know how to spell controller, so they just come over here and then try to get rid of the first word. But if every time you add a controller, they always add a 1 or a 2, and they always call it home. So I just type it all like this way so we don't make that error. And I go like right here to make sure we spelled it right. So what we need in here and there, we need a couple of things. We need a database context, so we're gonna have to make that a private one, and we're gonna call it a HTTP TTP context. There you go. So most of the time, people call it context like that. I call it database with a capital C like that. And sometimes I don't use the underscore, but that's made for that. It's designed. This is designed. This is how we do our context, and this is actually going to be our wedding context. And we're going to press Control Dot. And the reason the database context is going to be called the wedding context because our wedding context has the database information already, right? So let's show that again. Where's the context at? Is this it? No, that's not it. We need to worry about that. So let's go to our context. So you see this database is connecting it, and it has this type of stuff that we're going to put in the database. So this is going to be how we make our table. So let's show that real quick. Let's go to users, even though there's nobody in the users, but we have all our models set up in the users. And let's view the data. So when we come to viewing the data, you see how it has it like in a spreadsheet, and that's basically a spreadsheet. You could basically call that. You also notice you don't see confirm password on here. You see the user ID, first name, last name, email, whatever. We don't see the weddings or the RSVPs because that's going to be separated. And we'll worry about that when we get to the weddings and the RSVPs. So let's get out of here. We don't need this context no more. We were working on the wedding context right here, right? So I believe this is another one of these. And we're going to put a wedding context, right? So this is a variable, and we're just gonna call this context like that, without the thing. And then right here, this is doing is saying this is our variable, and for our variable, we're gonna need the stuff that's actually in the wedding, in the context itself. This is a variable of the wedding context. This is the information from the wedding context going into that variable. It's a little bit tricky, but once you start using it, you'll understand. So the first thing we need to figure out is what we want to do here. Well, if I go to add view like this, and these views, you're gonna see home and share and stuff like that. But if I go to add view like so, and go to empty razor view like that, we could call it index if we want. We could call it dashboard. The one that we do for the wedding will be called the dashboard. So right here, we're gonna click add, and I'm gonna delete all this. We don't need it. If you go to like this one, you will see that it has its title homepage. I don't know why it has a title homepage. We don't need none of this stuff. And I don't really care to say that either. So Control S, and then we don't really need the homepage stuff, none of this, but we'll just leave it as it is. So in our index model, for if you don't know which one you're in, you highlight it. It says views user index. See right here on the white stuff. Yeah. So first thing we need to do is we're gonna have to add we don't have to add a model here. We have to create a login, and then we have to create a register or create a users type stuff. So we're gonna go and we're gonna just put div like that, and then the h1 is this is gonna be very ugly at first, and then we're gonna make it nice and neat. So the first h1 is register here. Oh, we can just put register, and you know what, to do it like this and make it one more step easier. We create a tag, right? And then we don't put nothing there yet, and we'll just put in between here register for now, because we don't have the register one created yet. And then we're also going to put another one, or login. I'm sorry, and we're going to put login. Now they're not going to go anywhere right now, and we don't need no hrefs because we're going to be using ASP data, tag helpers. That's what they call tag helpers. So since we're going to be using that, we really don't need to worry about, I'll bring it down a little bit. We don't need to worry about, href this, href that. Now, with that being said, we got to go back to the user controller, and we got to create a register and a login. So let's start with the register one first. We're going to need two of them, and they're going to be called the same thing. Get. The first one's a get though, and I'm explicitly saying get like this because we're gonna have two of them. Now they're gonna have different different parameters inside of it, but they're gonna be called the same thing. Some people don't like this. I don't care. We're gonna call this register. I'm gonna call it different. I'm gonna call it different things for simplicity's sake. And the register one is not gonna have anything in it except return view like this and like that, of course, and then tab. And you don't need the register stuff in here. Obviously it's going to be register. Now if you wanted to be more specific and make this action with this controller in here, it's action then comma controller, and that's what it would be. And then if you don't use a controller because you're inside the controller already, you could just put like if you had a variable here or something like that, like if you had something to pass through to the model, you would put it either right here as a variable here, or if you wanted to return view somewhere else, and you press comma, and if like say I want to go to the index and then comma the home controller, right? You gotta type it in right there. And a lot of people don't know these little tricks, which is crazy because I didn't know them and it helped out. And then you put the variable that whatever it is, the user variable, whatever type of variable it is, you put it in there. That'll be the third one. But since this is not going to show anything, that's what it's going to do. The second thing is where we're going to need that identity, and we're going to hash the password, and et cetera, et cetera. So this one, we're going to call HTTP post, right? So I like to press tab. A lot of people don't press tab. It drives me insane sometimes, and I end up not doing it myself. And then we're going to call it register as well, and then we could call it create, which would be the exact same thing. So let's put that, and you could put get and post. But the difference between this one and the other one, let's just put this, and we're going to put return view like that, and it's already starting to give us stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's already starting to give us what we need there. As you saw, the if model whatever it is, if model state that is valid, it's already showing us that. However, we have to put a user, and now it doesn't know what user is in this user controller because it's going for the models. So we're gonna add that up here, add the models as well. And you already saw it. It said if user equals null, no, if model state that is valid. What this is saying is that what we pull in from here, from the post actions, if they are valid, and the reason we put return view here is because it's returning the view if this is not going to be good to go. All right. The only time we're going to do something else is we're going to return redirect to action, and we're going to return to the same view though. This would be the same view here. The redirect to action, if everything is right, we will return redirect to action to a different index. We just call it index for now, like that. And in the index, in order to have that, we could put a user. We could put a integer user ID, or just put ID here, and we'll share that ID there, and then we'll come over here and we'll be like, yo, we're adding there. Or we could just put the user in here. That works too. And we could keep using user and user in here because then it's saying, hey, use this user. This is a new user. It's been passed through, and all the information from this user that got passed through is now here, and we're going to add that here so we could use it within the model. And I'll show you how to do that in a second, but let's finish this. This is very important. This is saying, hey, if this model state that we're going to get from the actual register form, if this bad boy is correct, then we have to figure something out. We have to find out if the email is, valid. So we're going to do another if statement, right? And we're going to put if user equals null, well, if it equals null, then it should not equal null. If the user equals null, that means that it's not valid. It can't be empty. They have those validations in the background are required. So what we're gonna put is if database context dot users, okay, dot any, and this is saying if any of them, I'm gonna put em for email, so email equals user dot email, obviously. Then you know what we're gonna do here. We're gonna return the view. But before we return the view, because I did it backwards. Yeah, I don't know why I was doing all that nonsense. Before we return the view, we're gonna actually make an error so they know what's going on. And then the error is gonna be within the model state. So we put model state that is gonna say error, add model error. And then we're gonna put email like this. And that's this model error of email is for the email in the model here. Now it might have an issue because I don't think there's a error there. So we go to end, and then once we don't really have to put this, but we're gonna put already in database. Okay, email. We got to put emails already in email. Let's do it right. Email is already in the database. That sounds good. That looks great. So if it's already in the database, that means it's going to go back to the view and it's going to spit out an error. So that means that don't work. If it did work, if there's no email, that means the model state is correct. So everything else is already in there is correct. So what do we have to do? Well, we got to make a password hasher, right? And it doesn't know what that is because we don't bring the identity in yet. So we got a password hasher user. All right. And we could just press tab right here. I usually put hasher instead of password hasher, but we're going to use that. It doesn't make a difference. With this password hasher, we're going to get user.password, and we're going to get equals password hasher dot hash password. And what it's saying is, where are we getting this from the user? And what are we gonna do? We're gonna hash the user password. That's all you gotta do. Control S. And now that's hashed. Now we gotta actually put it in the database, right? Database contact dot users dot add, and we gotta add the user in here, right? Now you think you're done, but no. It's just like when you add migrations. When you add a migration, what happens? You gotta put update database, and that's what database context dot save is basically the same thing. Save changes, and you're right there. You see, you saved it. Now it's in the database. But I like to do one more thing. This is where we use the sessions. So session is a HTTP context. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the session up here before the index, after this right here. So we're gonna go to public void. Void. You guys spell void properly. Set session like this. This is how I like to do it, and we're gonna put integer ID, and then we're gonna come over here, and now we're gonna set the integer. So we're gonna put let's see, what is it? Return. We don't have to put a return. What am I talking about? We're gonna put HTTP context like that. Dot session. Dot set integer 32. Now the most important part is to remember. We're gonna put ID here. Oops. The most important thing is to remember what the heck the name is. So when you actually put the get session, you know what the hell the name is. So we're gonna put it user ID like that with a capital D, Control S. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna set the session right here, right? Set session, and we're gonna put user dot user ID, and then tab. Now we're ready to close this out. Now you won't be logged out every time you do this. So let's see what we're gonna do in the register one. So let's add this view right here because this is a post. So we're gonna add the view here. Let's see how many minutes we've done so far. Only halfway to it, but we could add a razor view with the information we're looking for. And this could actually be easier. So let's see if I can add it that way. And now it says register here is empty without model. And we're gonna put a create. Now we need the model class, and we need to put the user and the data context, the wedding context. And let's just add, I don't know if I need that. Let's just add this, see what happens. Sometimes we have errors, but this could actually make our life easier. Yes, I said it easier, but we're also gonna have to delete some stuff because it's trying to use everything that says it might be required in the user, or might be in the user, like updated on, created on, and we don't need that. So this says error. I mess things up all the time with using the shortcut ways. That's why I do everything the long way, because at least I know what I'm doing. And one day, in the meanwhile, while Batman came back to life. I'm recording? Okay, I'm recording. Yeah. So right now we're gonna just set up the register one, and if it's less than 30 minutes, we'll do the login one. The login one and the model for the login is very simple. We don't need to readjust the database or nothing like that. I see it's taking forever. It's installing the NuGet packages, so you might be finding another one up here that, when I said the dependencies, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It looked like something happened. Turned green. Okay, somewhere in here, we will be seeing the beautiful and awesome something. See, it always has that always happens to me. So I'm gonna cancel. I'm gonna just put empty without model. Don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's cancel that, and then let's redo it and do that. And then we don't want it to be index. We want it to be register. And now you know it's CSHTML, and that's why I show people that, because we don't want it. Now here we want to add lowercase model up here, and user, spell it right up here. It's just saying use the model of user. Now, the best part about this, we're gonna go this the hard way, and then you know what? Let's make this the easy way. Bootstrap 5. What is this called? This is called a register. Okay, we could do that. Bootstrap registration form examples. I've seen a bunch of different ones. So the get bootstrap one, I don't like them that much. So let's go here and see if there's anything we like. I kind of like this one. I don't like the image so much. Yeah, they got too much on some of these. This is why I used this one before. So let's show the code, copy the code, and why do all the hard work, right? Now you're gonna let's see what this looks like. You got your name, your email. So we're gonna have to change some of these. So let's start with your name. That's gonna be first name, but we're gonna just delete this right here, and this right here. This is gonna be ASP4, and then equals, and then first name. See, it says first name. Press tab, and now you got first name, and that takes care of that. And then we'll do the same thing here. We could just copy and paste that. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna have the first name for that. Now what I will do here is I'm gonna call this a div, and in this div I'm gonna say ASP validation summary equals all, but it needs to be inside here, so all like that. And then I'm gonna close it, and I'm gonna give this a class of text warning, because I'm gonna change the colors around and later. And the reason I'm doing text warning like this because Bootstrap 5 is automatically included inside MVC 5 and Blazor and stuff like that. So all these classes, we're gonna use the Bootstrap versions of these classes. We'll do that later. I don't care about that right now. So if I go look at this right now, let me copy this div right here. And let's come here and put V, and then we're just gonna put last name. Now the reason this came out for me the way it did is because I'm using the model. Okay, so that's the main reason why it came out. Now this form, we're gonna change this form around a little bit too, and we'll probably change the image as well, but we'll do that later. There's no reason to do it now. Type email, so we could highlight this, right, and put ASP-4. And then we put email like that, and I'm just tabbing the button. So, but this should be in here, like that. So it should look like that, and there goes the same thing. Put ASP type P-4. I like to double click here and just put email like that because it knows what it is. Now you see the squiggly lines. It came in because when you're using this, it's like I don't know what that attribute is. I don't know. That's not part of the user database. So let's see, we got password. Yep, this is good. So, and then we're gonna put password like that, and I just like to delete it all. So I put ASP-4 like that, and this is repeat your password. We see, the thing is, we also don't need this. We don't need this password one right here. We don't need repeat your password. It's all going to be taken care of us when we get to that time frame. So ASP-4, and we're going to put confirm password. That looks good. I don't know why I just don't copy. Control C and Control V this here. It's the first time I used this theme, this color theme. I like it a lot. We don't need this at all. It will keep the button in there, so let's delete that. Let me see one more time what that looks like. So we just added first name, last name, email, password, confirm password. We're getting rid of that, and we're keeping this. So let's set this up for success. So the form is okay. That we're gonna put ASP-action, and the action is going to be for the action is going to be the register. Right? And it's also going to be method. Oh no. Let's put that, and then type in the P post. And then I like to put, you don't have to put this, but I like to put this, and we want to make sure it's for the user, even though it should already know this. So now this button down here is a type button instead of type submit. So we need the submit word, and the reason we need the submit word is so we could submit the form. That's the whole purpose of the form. Now, I don't know if all this worked yet, and we are at 24 minutes. And can you please lower that TV? And then we press wedding planner. Now, this is going to pop up with this right here. We're running it. It's going to pop up with that. And I should have changed the registration thing. We'll do that. So what we're gonna do here after, we're gonna make it run somewhere else. But this is your welcome, and in order to get there, we need to go to we go to index everything here, right? Slash user slash index, I think it is. Register or log in. So we gotta go to user and we're gonna go to register. And then this is what our stuff looks like. So we press register right here. You'll see everything that needs to be done. We could also put underneath as well. I didn't want to put underneath. So the field name is required. Okay, let's put Al, last name Bert, email 1234556. Oh, that's email. Let's put Al Bert at. Because I did that regular expression, it says please enter a valid email address. So I put at com.com. Now I would accept that, but now we need the passwords. So I'll put 1234567 and the bottom one I'll put 1234556. So when we register, it says confirm password and password do not match. So we're gonna get out of there. So let's make sure we got that right. So remember, it has to be a minimum of 8 characters, and I messed that up. So let's press enter. Let's see if it registers us. Okay, let's save. So it brings us back over here, but we're in there like swimwear. So we don't have a log out, so let's just close it. Let's see, it shows you everything in here, what happened. And let's stop this. Now let's go back over here and let's go refresh this, of course. Always want to refresh it, and then now view the data, and you can see I'm in there. So what I wanted to show you when I'm viewing the data, this is created, that was a password. I want to show you when we created the password. You see that? Even if you did the same thing and rehashed it, it's not the same. That's what's crazy about it. It's not the same. Like, this scheme is horrible for that, but it is really just not the same, you know? This is a crazy hash password, so it's different. And every time you put it in, sometimes the beginning is the same. When you get to around over here, it's completely hashed differently. So that worked. So let's work on the login, and let's get out of there. We don't need to do that. The next time we come up here, we would put we would go here, and then when we click on that, we don't see that pop up. That's all that's good for. So for the login, I mean, let's create the login stuff right here. What do we need? Let's go to our user. We definitely need a email and password, right? So let's come over here, Control C, and let's put that in our login. And since our login is not going into the database, we don't need to add a migration for it. So there you go. Now all this stuff required and stuff like that, the data annotations. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Control dot. Okay, yes, data annotation. But what we're not gonna need is anything else except for display password, because you want it when you have this right here. I'm sorry. And hold on, let me get a space there. And data type. And then dot password. That's what it is. And then comma. And the reason why I want this is because I don't want your 1 2 3 4 5 6 looking like 1 2 3 4 5 6. I want to look at like this right here. All right, like the asterisk key. So that's what that's for. Now this regular expression for email, not needed, because this is the login. So if they don't match in the database, this email, well, that's your problem. Now we could leave everything else the same. We definitely want the minimum length to be more than that, so we might have to fix that in the user controller. As you can see in the user controller, not the controller, the user model. What am I talking about? The user model, we have the minimum length 1 maximum length 50. That's probably not good, so we'll update that later when we do the migration for the wedding model. And when we use the wedding view. But for right now, let's just go back to our register form, and now we go to our login model. We don't need a max length. I honestly don't need none of this data type stuff either, because if it doesn't match in the if it doesn't match in the database, it doesn't match. So that's that. Let me come back over here and we go Bootstrap 5 login. And this is so we can have it set up already for us. Let's see if we have anything that's simple. I like this one a lot. I used it before. So let's show the code and let's copy that. We're not going to be using that yet, but I'm going to try to learn and figure that out. So this could be like a crazy big, this is going to be a lot bigger than the first time I made it. One, I could explain it better. Two, I'm not copying and pasting it. So for the login model, we have to have a login the same way. Let's go to user controller. The same way we did the results, we're going to do for login. Login's going to have more than the regular just view. So let's go here and let's go HTTP. And we're going to put this public my action result login. And the login is going to have return view. And that's that. That's all it needs right here. Because we're going to add the view. And we're going to call it empty for now. We don't need all that stuff. And we're going to call it login. And we're going to add that. We're going to delete this. And I don't think we need a model on the top. We'll figure that out later. But this is what it's going to look like now. So let's go back now that we have to the index one of user. Should we put it in here? I'm trying to think where I want to put it at. You know what? Let's just leave that empty for now. We could do some other stuff. We're going to do some other stuff with it when we log in. We're going to show our name here. So let's go and let's do the index one. And let's do the navigation. So inside here, we have a layout. And our layout it's kind of like a partial, but it's got all this stuff in the header. What I don't like is all this stuff in the header. So I can create a partial view right here. So let's add a view right here. And we're going to have a razor empty. We're going to add that. And we're going to actually create a partial view. And we're going to call it navigation or nav. We'll just call it nav. Makes it easier. And our nav, as you see, should be a partial. So let's delete it. And let's try that again. Let's go here. Add view. Where's that stuff? Usually it makes me add a we're gonna call it nav like that. And the nav is gonna be considered a partial. And inside the nav, we're gonna take this layout header because it's too busy in here. So when we try to see what's going on in there, it gets confusing. And we're just gonna add that here. And Alt-Shift-F, and then in here, instead of home, because the top wedding planner is home, we're going to call it register. This one's going to be called login. ASP controller, we're going to call it user, and the index is going to be register. The action, this is going to be login. And this is also going to be user. So we're going to Control S that. Now we go back to the layout, and instead of having that, we're gonna put partial name equals nav like that. So that should work the same. Oh, we gotta close it. Don't forget to close it. And that should go away. Control S, and then this should be everything you see on the top for the navigation, like you saw it before. And let me see, did we get the login properly? No. We did not do the login property, so let's get to the properties real quick. Okay, this can't be right. Oh yeah, this is, let me see, this is the one, no. Okay, so we're gonna try to get this. This is right. It kind of looked like the the register one, so because it's got so much going on. So sign in with, and these are going to be, you're not going to see none of these Facebook stuff, none of this right here. So in this form, you probably won't see this. We're going to see the sign in with is going to be, that's it. Over here, we're going to have our email address and our password. So let's ID and put ASP4. Oh, you know what? I lied. Our model is gonna be login. All right. So that's the model that we're gonna have up there because we're just gonna use those two things right here. So let's put ASP4 again because it's like I don't know why you're doing that. And then we're gonna put email, but I'm gonna change something on the login. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put login email like that, and login password, so we don't forget what we're doing. We changed that, and like I said, we're done with this. We're done with the user model. Where is that? Okay, let's go back to login real quick. Let's get this done. ASP4 login email, and let's go. We don't need this because, as you can see, we have the display name email, display name password, so that's why we don't need it. And then we take this right here, ASP4 login email, and that's the same thing we're gonna do right here. So I like to do this like this because it makes it easier for us to see what we're actually doing. You know what I'm saying? Like see where it's gonna go without having to write all the code. You could always change this around and do it your own way. Like I said, I don't need that either. And this flex checkbox stuff, remember me, we're not doing that. Forgot password, I'm not doing that. Let me see what else we got here. We don't even have a button, do we? Oh, but okay, this is the button. This is the login. This is pretty cool too. We could, if we don't have an account, we could put that at ASP action, and we could put equals register that danger, and this is register. That's what the whole thing is for. All right, and just trying to see where this button type should be submit. That's what I'm looking for. Just to let you know. Press tab, save that. Now we got to go to the actual form, and what we want, method equals post. Press tab. See how it puts the quotation marks on there? No, I don't do that for the ASP action equals login. And now we're gonna have a post, and we're pretty much done with this. It's gonna log in. We're gonna get the route later, so we're not worried about that. So the one thing I want to do here, since we're gonna go here, we're gonna put a div, and it's gonna be ASP validation summary. Remember we did that before, equals and all, and that's all I need there. That's done. So that's the only way if we mess up. So now that that's taken care of, let's go back to the controller and let's do this post one. We got the view, and now we got an HTTP. Nope, that's wrong. And then we're gonna do public action login, but we're gonna have a login user. I'm just gonna put login user. It makes my life easier, or login, whatever they want to put it. I just put user. All right, so if it's messed up, it's return view, right? Go back to the same view. But this is kind of like the same thing as before. If model state, right? That is valid. So if it's valid, what do we want to do? We want to make sure, let me see. What do we want to make sure? If the login is valid, okay. We got an email, we got a password. That's pretty cool. If, let's see, we want a database context here. Dot. Users. Dot. It's a default. See, I gotta make sure I do this correctly. I want to get a user in the database, because I got to compare it to this stuff and hash it and everything, right? So the same thing I did up here, but we want to return. So we're going to do public. And you know what? Let's just do it this way to make it easier for now. We'll come over here. We're going to go public. No, not public. We're going to put user ndb gets database. See, it already knows what to do. We call it email again because we're going to email no equals login.email, which login email, that's what it is. So we want to get it to be that. So now if using database is equal to null, right? We gotta compare the down. This is what I'm trying to do right now. This is my goal, and this is why you buy those ducks, which my son seems to be throwing around everywhere. You try to explain what's going on. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make sure that the user in the database is not null, or the email is not null. So we could put something like user in database. We got to do this like we do model state dot add model error, and then we put email, and then you put don't exist, and then you put return view, and that's what we got to do here. It gets a little confusing sometimes. We don't need to put login because it knows it's not going nowhere. It's not going to redirect to action, which we're going to be doing after this hashing. So we need another password hasher like that, right? And we're going to put user, and then we're going to put let's just do everything like it suggests. Gets password hasher. So we gotta put the word new here. There you go. So the password hasher is gonna get now we gotta see if the password matches. This gets confusing. Now we gotta see, we're gonna get a variable called results, right? And we're gonna say if see, it's already giving me everything, the user and database. So if the user and database, and then if you have on there, it's like, okay, what do I need to do here? And it tells you the first one is to get the model user, the string password, and return hash representation of the supply string. So it should be, if I'm not going crazy, user in database. See, look at that user. Look at that, it already knows. Okay, I'm not user in database dot password. Am I writing this wrong or something? That is like, whoa, what's going on? See, you kind of, and then this one is the login, and then password, the login password. And what this is saying, yo, verify hash password. That's why I was going to create verify hash password. So this is saying let's verify this password. Okay, if it's legit, it'll equal 1. So now you're going to put over here if results, it already knows what I want, equals false or 1 or 0. That is what we're going to do is we're going to put another model state. You got to spell model state properly. Dot add model error, and you can put password, and then you put like password is wrong, and then you just put return view as well because that's what you want to do. You don't want to redirect to action. So the last thing you want to do, and it's kind of dry sometimes. They're saying that it could be empty, the last thing we want to do is we want to set the session. So that's why I made that, and we could put that as user and database, or user and database.useID. So now it's set that session. It's saying, yo, this is the person that's logging in. So let's log in. And then now we want to, what do we want to do? We want to, what did we want to do in the view? In the view, we wanted to add a user. So then we want to put redirect to action. No, return, damn it. Redirect to action. Now that I wanted to say that, it doesn't want to say it. And we're going to put the action is index. And because I have more than one index, I'm going to put the user just so it won't go crazy. And now I'm going to put user and database. There it is. And then everything's done. And that should allow you to log in. So we will worry about that. Let's press Control S and let's see how this works out. This is supposed to be an user and database. Okay. So let's register. We know that works. So let's log in. All right. So then let's save that. What I put the email as. And then we're not gonna put this. This should have been deleted. So we're gonna put password. And so now it brought us back to the user. So it got us all our information up here, which we do not want to be seen. And that's why we use, or people will use the session, user, and database. And instead of passing something like this, instead of passing that right there, what they do is they go up to view. Where we at? 30 minutes? 47. Wow, it's longer than I expected. So the reason we don't want to put that inside the view, inside here, we're going to pass it the user and we'll see the user. But what happens is when we do this, it's no good. So what we could get is we could put another variable user in database gets HTTP context, okay, dot session dot get 32. Hold on, I'm doing this wrong. This is underscore db context dot users first of default. Inside the first of default, we want to get user ID. So we put user ID like that, right? And then we do the lambda expression and put user ID dot user ID equals. So we get the first one ID or HTTP context dot session dot get integer 32, and then we gotta come in here. I hate when it does that. And then we gotta use this right here. So we're gonna get that. So now we're gonna put user in database. And the reason why, let's stop this because it's not gonna work anyway. And the reason this is better is because, yeah, we trying to pass it that user. Instead of passing it that user when we register, we're setting the session. And you notice we didn't pass it here. But now that we have it here, we could do this in the, let's get rid of layout. That's the right index. Nope, that's home page. We could do this right here, and we could just put at model user right here, and then we could put like H1. Let's do that. Put at capital M, and then we put username or first name, and then now that should work when we log in. So let's see if that works. Oh, you got to do an if statement. That's right. You got to make sure you got to make sure the model if, you got to put if model equals null. You got to put this. It wants you to take care of these possibilities of it not being there. You're going to put H1, 2, whatever, and you put loading like that. And you put the else statement here. And then put it in and you close that up, and then now it's okay with this. Okay, save. Now we press play. Save that and then we press play. There you go. Now it should work, no problems. And this is a lot longer than I expected. So if this works, everything's gonna be great. So we got that going on, and then we got Al. And now that works. Everything works. So now we could create the weddings, and then we'll go back and recreate the RSVPs. But today I'm tired, so I'm not gonna create the weddings. And I took 49 minutes, 50 minutes of your life. Where's it at? Yeah, 51 minutes of your life, and I did not want this video to go this long. So I hope you like it. Thank you very much.